From WZDX News, this is a severe weather update.
Hey, Tennessee Valley, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. We're going to break into programming this evening. Got another tornado warning I want to tell you about. Tornado warning now been issued for Coleman County. Again, a tornado warning has been issued for Coleman County. That tornado warning is going to run until 7:15 p.m. This is radar indicated. We have no confirmation that anything is on the ground, but we are talking about a tornado warning, a radar indicated tornado for Coleman County until 7:15. Looks like this storm is moving to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. Emily has already gone ahead and put a track on this storm for you. Look at the list. If you see your city, be sure to get in your tornado safe place. Coleman by 6:54, Northwood by 6:56, South Vinemont by 6:59, Pleasant View by 7:05, into Enon by 7:09. All of these time frames are going to be within the tornado warning because that tornado warning for Coleman County does not expire until 7:15 p.m. It looks like the area that we're going to be watching is currently on the west side of I-65. Emily's going to zoom in for us so we can try and find our area of rotation. And it looks like our area of concern is going to be just to the south, or actually more right over Good Hope. This is down and getting into southern Coleman County at this point. Emily's gone ahead and circled this area of rotation. This is going to be our area of concern. So if you're in Good Hope and you're not in your tornado safe place, you really need to be getting into your tornado safe place literally right now. You still have some time if you're in Coleman, but you need to be getting there within the next couple of minutes. But if you're in Good Hope, you need to be in your tornado safe place immediately. Again, this is a radar indicated tornado. We have no confirmations that anything is on the ground, but nonetheless, we do have a tornado warning in effect for Coleman County until 7:15 p.m. Emily, could you switch it over to our shear rate? I always like to look at our shear rate. It's a really fantastic tool. It tries to tell us if we're getting any change in wind speed and direction with height. And we're getting some of that as indicated by the brighter greens. Also notice the fact that it does line up with the circle, which is another good indicator that we're dealing with some pretty steady rotation because it lines up with what we're seeing on our velocity image. So we're getting some decent rotation. Again, at this point, it looks like this rotation is right over Good Hope, just to the north of Laredo. At this point, maybe we're getting close to the I-65 corridor, but still looks like it is just on the west side of the I-65 corridor, probably getting ready to cross I-65 in a matter of a couple of minutes. Also talking about a lot of very heavy rain with this storm, some very heavy rain, as a matter of fact, across the I-65 corridor, getting up into Coleman and then up into South Vinemont, where we're going to be looking at that heavy rain. And that's going to be something that we want to pay extra attention to because the sun sets in just a couple of minutes. So it's going to start getting dark. So if you know anybody traveling along the I-65 corridor, specifically down into Coleman County, maybe tell them that they're going to want to pull off the road and get into some sort of safe place as soon as possible, because we are talking about a radar indicated tornado down in Coleman County, right around Good Hope. As a matter of fact, you can see that rotation showing up quite nicely. You can see those reds and those greens doing a pretty excellent job at converging. That's giving us a pretty excellent sign that we are talking about a fair amount of rotation, and Emily's gone ahead and circled that for us. The most interesting area, maybe just ever so slightly to the southwest of Good Hope. But still, if you are in Good Hope, you really need to be in your tornado safe place. Up into Coleman, you really need to be in your tornado safe place, and that's going to continue a little further north through Northwood into South Vinemont. Storm moving to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. Good Hope by 6:51. That's, again, literally right now. Coleman by 6:58. East Point by 7:01. Walker's Corner by 7:05. Pleasant View by 7:08. So if your city's in the list, you heard me say your city, you really need to be getting into your tornado safe place rather immediately if you are not already there. Be sure to turn up the TV so you can still hear the sound of my voice. But make sure you are in your tornado safe place. If you're just joining us this evening, we are talking about a tornado warning that is currently in effect for Coleman County. That tornado warning is going to run until 7:15 this evening, so we've still got about another 20 minutes. This is a radar indicated storm. We haven't gotten any damage reports yet, no confirmation that there is actually a tornado on the ground. This is simply a radar indicated tornado warned storm moving to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. Not a whole lot of hail currently with this storm, but maybe it has a history of producing a little bit of hail as it's continued to move up through Coleman County. So I think that's something we're going to want to be mindful of as we go throughout the next 15 or 20 minutes. Looking at our shear rate, there is some shear. It's not the most impressive thing I've ever seen in the world, but these bright greens are indicative of just a little bit of shear. Again, the shear is a change in wind speed and wind direction with height. When we see that change in wind speed and direction with height, that's a pretty good indicator that we're at least talking about a little bit of rotation, and you can kind of see the highlight of that increased wind shear between Coleman and down towards Good Hope along the I-65 corridor. We're not talking about a lot in the way of any rotation yet across Northwood and then up to South Vinemont, but this storm is moving in that general direction. So if you're in those two communities, you're going to want to be in your tornado safe place sooner rather than later. Emily switched it back over to our velocity image, and it looks like maybe the radar scan actually updated a little bit, and maybe that rotation is beginning to come a little more broad, but nonetheless, it does look like that rotation is still hanging on just a little bit, but it's not the strongest rotation in the world. So that is certainly some good news there, but we are talking about some rotation within this tornado warned storm. Again, a tornado warning in effect until 7:15 for Coleman County. All locations basically across the I-65 corridor from South Vinemont down to Coleman, down to Good Hope. And then as we get up into Berlin and then eventually up into Simcoe. Now, if this storm were to hold itself together through its lifespan and be reissued, we'd probably be talking about Brooklyn and Baileyton. But again, they're outside of this tornado warning. And again, if this storm were to hold itself together, maybe it would then begin to creep up into Morgan County. But we're still not dealing with the most unstable of air masses in the world. Really, our most unstable air mass still lies across northwest Alabama and then just getting down into Coleman County. Once we get up into Morgan County and especially up through Madison County and through northeast Alabama, we're still talking about an incredibly stable air mass, one that is not necessarily conducive for the development of severe weather. Now, that's liable to change as we go through the next couple of hours, but that has yet to be seen. In the meantime, we're going to continue to talk about the tornado warning that is in effect for Coleman County until 7:15 p.m. So we've still got about probably about another 15 to 20 minutes on that yet. It's radar indicated. We have nothing confirmed, so that's certainly some good news there. Emily, I want to zoom things out and look at the entire Tennessee Valley as a whole. Obviously, then you can switch it back over to our reflectivity. Excuse me. And we're talking about a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity, not just down into Coleman County, but across the entire Tennessee Valley as a whole. Widespread, moderate to at times heavy rainfall. This is a lot of rainfall. We've seen several flooding reports across North Alabama, even up into southern Middle Tennessee. There are some folks across different portions of Madison County getting down into Marshall County. Since about Monday evening, they have seen somewhere between 4.5, even 5 inches of rain. We're also watching a storm that's beginning to move into northwest Alabama right now. It does just come with a severe thunderstorm warning. Certainly some good news there. But like I said just a couple of minutes ago, the environment over northwest Alabama is a little more unstable. So that's something we're going to continue to watch over the next few minutes, because the environment over Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin counties is a little more suitable that we could see some more severe thunderstorm development in the form of some damaging winds, wind gusts 70 to 80 miles per hour, and we could see some damaging tornadoes as well. And this is all associated with an incredibly long line of showers and thunderstorms that is still sitting well off to our west back across Mississippi, and this is going to take its time to move into the Tennessee Valley. That's why you heard me at 5 and 5:30. We talked about the fact that this is going to be an ongoing threat as we go through the duration of the evening And even as we head into the overnight, we're going to be talking about the potential for a nocturnal severe weather event. And that's something we're going to want to be very mindful of over the next several hours. So you're going to want to make sure you have multiple ways to receive your weather alerts. The WZDX app is fantastic. It's available in your respective app store. The NOAA Weather Radio is obviously fantastic. Television, of course, we're right here. And then, of course, you can always follow us on social media. We do still have a tornado warning that is set to expire in probably the next 3 minutes. It's supposed to expire at 7 o'clock for Colbert, Franklin, Lawrence, and Coleman counties. This tornado watch is expected to expire at 7 o'clock this evening. Have yet to hear from the Storm Prediction Center and the National Weather Service here in Huntsville if they are going to allow this tornado watch to expire or if they're going to continue it for these counties, or maybe even if they're going to expand it to encompass more of North Alabama, maybe even up into southern Middle Tennessee. I think we're kind of waiting to see what this warm front does over the next couple of hours. Warm front has been gradually, very, very slowly lifting to the north since early hours of this morning, and it's kind of been taking its time. It did not lift to the north near as fast as I think we thought it would. But still, as this cold front approaches, it's going to force the warm front to lift north, and on the backside of this warm front is an environment that is a little more suitable for the development of some severe weather. So we're going to maintain those threats that we talked about at both 5 and 5:30 this evening. Those threats for damaging winds and some of those violent, maybe even those long track tornadoes. Emily's thrown this graphic up. I really want to show you it again. It's your multiple ways to get your severe weather alerts. The WZDX app is a fantastic tool. If you don't have it, just take your phone, scan that QR code really quick. It'll give you a link to download the WZDX app. Again, it's a fantastic tool. You can set up push alerts and we'll tell you the latest severe weather changes that come over your neighborhood. Your NOAA Weather Radio, television is always a fantastic resource. And then you can follow us on social media as well, whether that be WZDX or my Facebook, Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. Back to Coleman County we go, where we're still talking about that tornado warning in effect for Coleman County. That is going to run until 7:15 this evening. At this point, Emily's looking for our greatest area of rotation. It looks like it's going to be right around Coleman. It's moving to the north-northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So it looks like we're looking at an area of interest right around the Coleman area. So if you are in Coleman, even if you're down into Bolt, you might want to get into your tornado safe place. We're going to place a tracker on this for you. Again, moving to the north-northeast at about 35 miles per hour. Baileyton by 7:13. And from there, it's going to move back to the northeast. Can we bring the list back up one more time, if you don't mind? Could we turn Emily's mic on? That'd be much appreciated. Thank you. So again, storm moving to the north at about 35 miles per hour. Pleasant View by 7:08. Brooklyn by 7:20. And then Baileyton by 7:22. Now, of course, Brooklyn and Baileyton are going to be, if this storm manages to hold itself together as it travels to the northeast at 35 miles per hour. This tornado warning is expected to expire at 7:15. So this is going to be something we continue to monitor for the next 15 minutes. A decent cell over Coleman County at this point, a fair amount of heavy rain as indicated by the reds and the pinks. And I think it's going to continue to sustain itself, at least for the life of the tornado warning, as it travels up into Morgan County, where Morgan County isn't exactly dealing with the most unstable of environments. So it's not exactly an environment that is conducive for the development of severe weather. Still, we're going to continue to watch it. We're going to continue to follow this tornado warning. Right now it is radar indicated. We haven't heard any reports of anything actually on the ground. So that's something we're going to be mindful of as we progress through the life of this tornado warning. Again, if you're just joining us, if you're looking for your 7 o'clock show, we're breaking into programming to talk about a tornado warning that is in effect for Coleman County. That tornado warning is going to run until 7:15. If you're in Coleman, if you're in South Vinemont, you really need to be in your tornado safe place. Even if you're up into Providence, you are included within this tornado warning. You really need to be in your tornado safe place. This is the I-65 corridor. It looks like the core of this storm, the area that's going to be of most interest, is crossing, if it hasn't already, just crossed the I-65 corridor. So if you know anybody along the I-65 corridor, while it looks like the main core of this storm is now on the other side of I-65, maybe suggest to anybody that you may know traveling along the I-65 corridor down into Coleman County that they pull over, at least for a few minutes until the brunt of this storm does get through. There is some lighter rain on the back side of this warning. That will eventually move into the I-65 corridor, make it a little safer to drive. But for the time being, we are talking about some incredibly heavy rain. Coleman up towards Northwood, up into South Vinemont, and then up into Gold Ridge. We're also talking about quite a bit of heavy rain, and that's going to continue for probably the next 15 or 20 minutes. Pockets of incredibly torrential rain as indicated by those reds and those purples. Rotation looks like it's becoming a little more broad at this point, not really seeing a whole lot as far as our velocity image is concerned. Still
They just trimmed it down just a little bit.
It does look like they trimmed that polygon back just a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised. I'm actually kind of curious because I'm really not seeing a whole lot of impressive rotation at this point. Switch it over to our shear rate. I want to see what's going on there because, again, I'm just not really seeing the rotation as far as velocity is concerned. Now, there is a little bit of wind shear, but wind shear takes into account the change in wind speed and direction as we go up in altitude. So, yeah, there are some signs that this storm is rotating, but it's not really showing up on our velocity image. So I have a very difficult time believing that there is actually a tornado. There is still a little bit of hail. That's something that's also very important. The storm does have a history of producing a little bit of hail, especially there across the I-65 corridor up into Northwood, down into Coleman. Does have a history of producing a little bit of hail. So even if a tornado isn't the main threat at this point, we are still dealing with some very heavy rain. We're likely dealing with some very gusty winds. And again, as we've just shown you, this storm does have a history of producing a little bit of hail. So we're going to keep that in mind as this storm continues to move to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. So it's not moving terribly fast. So once it gets over your neck of the woods, it really doesn't look like it's going to stick around that long. But still, you do certainly want to be in your tornado safe place. If you're in Berlin, you really need to be in your tornado safe place. If you're in Simcoe, you really need to be in your tornado safe place. If you're up into Providence, you need to be in your tornado safe place because you are included within this tornado warning. And then if you're in Brooklyn or up into Baileyton, while you're not necessarily included in this tornado warning, you might want to consider getting into your tornado safe place. We are also talking about a little bit of lightning associated with this storm. I think if this storm were a little stronger, we would obviously see a higher lightning count. So the fact that our lightning count isn't terribly high is a good indicator that this isn't actually the strongest storm, which continues to lead me to believe that a tornado may actually not be the most significant threat with this tornado warned storm. Again, we've never gotten any confirmation that there was anything on the ground. This is a radar indicated tornado. There were enough parameters showing up on radar, whether that be rotation showing up on velocity or looking at a shear rate, to give enough evidence that we need to go ahead and issue a tornado warning. So again, tornado warning in effect for about another 10 minutes, expires at 7:15 for Coleman County. Radar indicated. No confirmed reports of a tornado on the ground in Coleman County. Elsewhere across the Tennessee Valley, this is really the only warned storm we have at this point. We can zoom out and look at the rest of North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Switch radars if you don't mind. Let's go to the Huntsville radar. This is really the only severe warned storm we have across North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee. Still, we are picking up on a lot of rain. Many of us dealing with some moderate to at times heavy rainfall, trying to hint at maybe a couple of breaks across northwest Alabama, but they're certainly not out of the woods just yet. Nobody's out of the woods just yet. I know we haven't seen the most active of afternoons or early evenings across the Tennessee Valley, but there is still a lot more to come. We've still got a cold front that's going to move through the Tennessee Valley as we get into the later part of the evening and then very early into your Thursday morning. And we're going to want to continue to watch that event as that cold front continues to draw closer to the Tennessee Valley and forces this warm front to the north. Because as this warm front is pushed north, we should begin to see our environment become a little more conducive for the development of some severe weather. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about this cold front and then this somewhat organized line of showers and thunderstorms that is still moving through Mississippi. And it's going to take a while to get completely through the state of Alabama and up through southern Middle Tennessee. So this threat for some severe weather is going to linger with us through the rest of the evening and then into the earliest hours of Thursday morning. It does look like the...
Actually, I'll go ahead and explain this.
Okay.
So this graphic hasn't updated quite yet, but the Storm Prediction Center has decided that the entire Tennessee Valley will be included in a tornado watch, and it does look like this watch is going to last until around midnight is what they're saying. So it hasn't quite yet made it onto our graphic just yet. And it doesn't look like this is going to be a particularly dangerous situation tornado watch. It's just going to be a regular tornado watch, but regardless if it's a PDS or not, you still don't need to let your guard down. But once this graphic updates, it will include the entire Tennessee Valley. They did allow that PDS tornado watch to be dropped, and they're going to issue a regular tornado watch that will include the entire Tennessee Valley until midnight.
So just kind of to recap a little bit of what Emily was just discussing.
And there it goes.
Yeah, just kind of updated on the graphic there. So we've removed the PDS tornado watch, which is certainly some good news because that means we're no longer talking about the an extra threat, I guess, for extreme development across the Tennessee Valley. A PDS means we'd be talking about a particularly dangerous situation, and that's something the Storm that's something that the Storm Prediction Center is watching. I am going to go change my microphone batteries.
Okay, I will surely take over. But yes, like what we've been talking about all day today, that we did have that regular, we did have a PDS tornado watch that was issued earlier today, but we have since then allowed that to expire, and we are just going to see a regular tornado watch, and this is going to be in effect for most of the Tennessee Valley, and this is actually going to last until midnight. So do keep that in mind, that this will last until midnight. But here is what we're still dealing with. We do still have this tornado warning for Coleman County, and this will last, it looks like it's going to be allowed to expire within the next 5 minutes or so, till 7:15 is when this thing is going to be allowed to expire. So like we've been mentioning, we haven't been picking up on any rotation whatsoever, or tight rotation whatsoever, should I add. But right now we're just picking up on an area of very broad rotation right here, right over Coleman. I'm actually going to swap this over to the Birmingham radar so you can see a better look at that velocity couplet, and we don't have one really. This is very broad rotation, so that is definitely some good news that the storm is looking like it's starting to weaken a tad bit here. So just keep that in mind, that this does look like it is going to be allowed to expire right around 7:15. See, we're not really picking up on the radar indicated rotation that we saw earlier this afternoon, or this evening, excuse me. So right now, like we said, Coleman County still going to be under this tornado watch. This will last until 7:15. I'm not expecting them to extend this any further. If they were to extend it, it looks like it would just be a severe thunderstorm warning maybe, but like we said, tornado warning looks like it's going to be allowed to expire right around 7:15. So like we said, we're not really picking up on any rotation whatsoever. I'm going to go ahead and swap this back over to our Huntsville radar. And here is actually where that storm is located. If I can go ahead and drag us over. Notice how we're picking up on these areas of purples, and we've got the red right here as well. That's indication of some very heavy rainfall that we could be seeing right now. So while we do still have this tornado warning, we're also dealing with damaging wind gusts. We could see damaging wind gusts throughout the night tonight in excess of 60 miles per hour. We also could see some very large hail. I know this storm did have a history of producing some hail with this storm. And we also did get some very heavy rainfall rates. So this could lead to some areas of localized flooding if this were to become an issue. So right now, though, we're just continuing to see that tornado warning for Coleman County, like I said, still going to be on until 7:15. So Jordan, have we seen any damage reports or anything so far yet?
No, we haven't seen anything. And as a matter of fact, the National Weather Service is going to go ahead and allow the tornado warning that is currently in effect for Coleman County to expire at 7:15. There's enough evidence that we can go ahead and allow the tornado warning in Coleman County to expire at 7:15. So it's in effect for about another 3 minutes. Otherwise, we are still talking about plenty of rain across the rest of the Tennessee Valley, and that's going to be something we continue to monitor for the next several hours. I want to go back to the just reissued tornado watch. I want to make sure we can touch on that a little more and explain kind of the continued thinking through the duration of the evening and into the overnight. Now, this new tornado watch is going to expire at midnight on Thursday. We do not have the PDS statement attached to that. There's enough thinking that the rain we saw all afternoon and early into the evening has lowered the threat for widespread intense tornadoes across the Tennessee Valley, but we're not out of the woods. Just because we've taken off the PDS tag off the tornado watch, that doesn't necessarily mean we're out of the woods. We still have that line of showers and thunderstorms that I was showing you earlier directly ahead of that cold front that are going to move through the Tennessee Valley through the later part of the evening and then early into the overnight. So a tornado is still going to remain possible. A couple of those tornadoes could be on the larger end of the spectrum. We're still talking about that opportunity for a violent tornado. It just doesn't look like it's going to be as widespread of a concern as it once was. So we still have the tornado watch in effect for Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin counties in northwest Alabama, Lawrence County, Morgan County, Limestone County, Madison County, and then Coleman counties. We also are including small portions of northeast Alabama. Excuse me, we're still talking about the threat for damaging winds and tornadoes as we go through the duration of the evening, heading into the early part of the overnight. Heavy rain is going to continue across the Tennessee Valley. Obviously, that is something that we have seen all afternoon and all evening. And some of these storms have had a history of producing a little bit of hail. So that's going to continue to be a concern as well. But again, as that main line of storms continues to draw closer to the Tennessee Valley, directly ahead of that cold front, we're going to talk about that opportunity for damaging winds. Like Emily said, damaging straight line winds 60 to 70 miles per hour. And then our other elevated threat is also going to be the threat of tornadoes, where a couple of those could be bigger. Some of those long-tracked, violent tornadoes reaching status of EF2 or even EF3. So that's something we're going to want to be mindful of as we go through the 8 o'clock hour, the 9 o'clock hour, and even as we get into 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. So make sure, since everybody's going to want to go to bed at some point this evening, you have multiple ways to receive your severe weather alerts. The WZDX app is a fantastic tool. The QR code will actually send you a link to allow you to download the WZDX app. Your NOAA weather radio, having that on, having the volume turned up, is going to be a great resource, especially if you do have to go to bed early tonight. Television, obviously Emily and I are going to continue to break in through the duration of the evening if we have to. And of course, you can always follow us on social media. Let's go back over to Pinpoint Viper. I want to talk about what we're seeing one more time. Again, we broke in originally to tell you about a tornado warning for Coleman County. It is now 7:15. That tornado warning has been allowed to expire. We do have a couple of different severe thunderstorm warnings that are on the Mississippi and Alabama border. Those are going to be something we continue to watch over the next couple of hours as that activity does begin to move into an area that is slightly more favorable for the development of severe weather. By far, the areas that are talking about the highest favorability are going to be across northwest West Alabama, Lauderdale, Colbert, and Franklin County. But this is an impressive line in of itself. Even if you don't really see any tornado warnings associated with it, this is an impressive line of showers and thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms, as a matter of fact. Lots of severe thunderstorm warnings across all different portions of Mississippi. And this is eventually going to move into the Tennessee Valley, where it continues to have that threat for some severe weather. That severe weather does include damaging winds and the possibility of a tornado. But for the time being, we do not have anything warned in North Alabama, southern Middle Tennessee, so I do believe I'll go ahead and send you back to regular programming.